Welcome to the I Ching Cafe. My name is Belinda Dubston, and as always, it is wonderful that you are here with me for our weekly I Ching forecast for the week commencing the 30th of September 2024. Literally the last day of September, so we are technically mostly in October with this week's forecast. As always, before we jump into where we can grow, where we can focus our attention on maximizing our development with the I Ching, let us cast our minds back. We had that very interesting hexagram 22, grace, finding ways of beautifying things and understanding how important sometimes the packaging looks, finding ways of making things beautiful and graceful and presented well and embellished and beautified by giving care and attention to how things look. Plus, that simple offering we were asked to bring, not to feel ashamed or embarrassed by it, but just to offer up what we have. And working with the Hexagram 37, the family last week, understanding how important it is for a family to be bound together through the central focus of the mothering instinct, as we spoke about, and making sure that everyone knows their place, everyone knows their roles, and as a family we are bound together by something that unites us, our culture, our values, our promise, whatever it is, being bound as a family, whether it's a work family, friend family, blood DNA family, whatever it might be, is to be bound and working with others. People who work and live together, a key focus for last week. So if issues came up for you or insights that came up for you related to these areas of your life, it was the I Ching churning things up and reflecting back at us. Areas of our life that we need some work. And if there was anything that came up for you that you realized and had insight about and worked with, it'd be great if you could share that in a comment. So this week, as we kind of just wrap up the last day of September, and of course in the next few days' time, we have our monthly overview for October coming out. Let us focus on what is the I Ching asking us to pay attention to this week. Now in our lives, we have lots of things we pay attention to, and we each have our own flows of change. This is something that is binding us all together as we work with this week. It's a way of focusing collectively on an area of our development we need to pay attention to. Remember, the purpose of us doing these things, these weekly forecasts, is to give us tools and hooks and thoughts and focus points to grow and to recognize our inherent power, our ability to create our world, our ability to make a difference, an ability to overcome all the challenges that we feel sometimes are insurmountable. Step by step, the flows of change help to align us to where we really need to go and where we can release those old things and we can be free of them. So that is what we are here to do. So this week, our first flow of change is bringing us development and attention to what's really important is hexagram 8, holding together or union. The image is, water on the top trigram, earth on the bottom. The image created with this is a whole lot of rivers that are coalescing across the plains together to a central focus point. I like the idea of climbing, when you're climbing as a team and you have rope and you're all connected to rope, right? And you're all working together through these safety harnesses to climb this mountain together. And with this hexagram, what that brings is that idea of we're only as strong as the weakest link. And if our rope is strong, the thing that binds us together, and our focus is on working together to get there, good communication, we can work together using our collective strengths to ascend to the top of the mountain. So this hexagram is a multifaceted hexagram, as they all are, and it talks about how we group and unite with others. So another word for this hexagram is grouping. The people we are grouped with, the alliances that we are part of, the collaborations that we are connected into, right? The ropes that link us to other people and other organizations. This is about who we are grouped with. On a business level, that seemingly is quite straightforward. Your associations, your collaborations, your partnerships, your supply chain. Personally, these are groupings that are part of your life. Your hobby groups, leadership groups, okay, whatever it might be, your spiritual groups, okay, these are groupings that you are bound to. Now, the thing with a group, especially when you have a whole lot of disparate people who are bringing different skills and abilities to a particular thing, the most important thing is this grouping is that we have a shared purpose, that there's a very strong bond, right? And there's a strong sense of leadership that holds this group together. That's what grouping is really about. That we are grouped with others, we are part of groups, and we are leading groups. How you interact with this hexagram this week will depend on the kinds of groupings you're part of and your role and space within them. Yet I often find with this hexagram, what it does is it draws our attention to leadership. Okay, for me, this is a very strong leadership hexagram, different in the way to we would see leadership in hexagram 7, the army, where it's about having that clear plan and a strategy and communicating and charging forth as the general, right? And making sure everyone understands the plan and leading forth the army to achieve something extraordinary. Here, it's more of a collaboration, but a collaboration needs a strong core leadership in order for it to work. Sometimes when we get this hexagram, we're being asked, are you the right leader for this grouping, right? Are you fulfilling your role in this group to the extent that it requires of you? And particularly when you think about collaborations or associations or partnerships you might do with others, is one thing is to look at, are the people in this group, right? Are they fulfilling their responsibilities? Am I fulfilling my responsibilities? Am I leading? Okay, am I demonstrating what leadership means? And so we do have to reflect. When we get this hexagram, we do have to reflect, and we do have to ask the I Ching, am I the right person? Am I the right group? Am I the right party to lead this forward if I'm trying to champion something forward? And what do I have to do to lead this moment, to bind everyone together around that common goal, that very clear purpose? Bind everyone with the rope, tie everyone together so that we are safe together as a unit moving up the mountain. Okay. So it is a week where we are thinking and contemplating our unions, our groupings, our working with others to achieve something. All right. There's a little difference here to the fellowship hexagram where this is not about a shared purpose that everyone is collaborating around. This is a much more focused grouping where the leadership part leads us forward. Okay, so that clear picture of what leadership means and what the purpose is sits at the heart, binds everyone together, and we move forward. So you might find that part of what comes up for you this week, either things or thoughts that just kind of emerge for you, or insights, or a conversation just triggers a memory or a thought around who you're grouped with and are the groups doing what they need to do. Is the purpose clear? Am I leading from the front? Am I doing what I can to lead this group? And am I the right person to lead this? Or do I need to rethink how this group is put together, or if this is the right group? Okay. There are 3 changing lines this week. Okay, that means lots of inflections of change. In a week when we have lots of changing lines, the energy moves. Okay, it moves. And what's interesting about this week is that all 3 changing lines are in the upper trigram. Okay, they are on the top, and that often represents that our experience of the points of change, where the change is coming from and being reflected back, is externally in our environment. Bottom trigram is the inner, the top trigram is the outer, and so what we can have is we can have an experience of the change points being external in our environment, okay, in the world that comes at us and reflected in how we interact with the world as opposed to internal processes. I would just take that as an opportunity to learn and reflect on how the change is coming to you, and we work from it from there. Okay, so position 4, 5, and 6. In position 4, okay, this line speaks about how we feel like we want to be in the group. We feel isolated from the group that we think is important. But at the center of the group is a person, okay, an entity, a person who has power and centrality in that group and is a superior person, is a resonance of principle and rightness, okay. And we have a synergy with that person, okay. So it might not necessarily be a person, it could be a group or an entity itself, but what the I Ching is talking about is that I want to be in that group, all right? I want to get in there But I do have a relationship with someone who has power and centrality in that group. And so the way that I can do that is by staying connected to that person, all right? Not trying to be something I'm not, just staying focused on my principles, focus on what I'm here to do, but is focusing on that relationship, all right? Because that helps draw you into the group. So where you feel isolated or on the outs, all right? On the outside of a group you're wanting to get into, this is the strategy. You already have a relationship with someone who's central to that group. Focus on that. And through their energy, you connect and are brought in to work with the group. Okay, so maybe you're wanting to connect into a new network, for example, and you feel like, you're an outsider trying to get in, right, into the inner circle. And this person can help you, can help connect you and line you up. But you don't have to pretend to be something you're not. You just have to be who you are and the value that you have and keep engaged with that person. And through that, you gain access. Okay, in position 5. Okay, position 5 is a position of strength in this hexagram. Often it is with position 5. And this is the opportunity to hunt with the king. Okay, so you'll see, if you read the book, you'll see this blessing opportunity of hunting with the king or with the prince, right? And what this line talks about is this technique of hunting game where 3 sides are barricaded in. You can imagine you've got like horse riders and dogs, trying to herd in the prey on a big hunt. And you've got 3 sides of this moving group, right, moving forward. But the one side is kept open. And the principle was that those who wanted to wander into like a U shape, if you can imagine that, would be fair game. But those who wanted to exit out the front, who ran, they'd be free to go. They wouldn't be hunted down in a massacre. Okay, so the idea with this changing line is you're wanting to bind with others. You're wanting to move forward with this grouping. You're wanting to go and hunt the game, okay? But you're connected to a group. Like there's a huge amount of wonderful energy associated with being in the king's party on the hunt. But the principle is, don't try and force relationships or force unions or force associations or the grouping. You don't have to force it. What you do have to do is let those who want to be part of the group come in, and those who don't, let them be free to move on. Okay, so there's something around this process of it's really important this week to think of and focus on voluntary associations, people who see the value, people who connect and resonate with what you're trying to do, with who you are, will associate. People who don't want it, have to be let free to go. Okay, we can't force them. So there's something around the process of just letting go of our own attachment and stress around having to get these people to group with us, as opposed to just saying, this is what we have, those who stay, cool. Those who don't want to be part of this grouping, you should be free to move on. Okay, voluntary alliance. Okay, so how that works out in your life this week, I'm really looking forward to hearing your comments. Where can you let go of the stress, right, and the urge to try and control the process and to make people want to be part of this alliance or this association or this group, and rather create a climate where you present what the group or what you're trying to do, and you let people decide for themselves whether it's something they want or something they don't. And those who say yes are people that resonate with what you're trying to do. It's a win-win. Okay. In line 6, all right, this is often a tricky line and a culmination line, and no different for this hexagram. Position line 6 says 2 things. Okay, either this grouping you're wanting to connect with is not yours. Okay, it's not yours because it doesn't have a purpose that resonates with you. At its core, there isn't a strong binding purpose or reason that resonates with what you're trying to do and what you need. Okay, so that's one option. Or we have left it so long and we've procrastinated over grouping with these people or with this entity that we've actually missed the moment. It's like the group is coalesced, right, is formed, and the membrane is sealed, okay, and the ability to get in now is over, okay. So there's something around a particular group or particular association where either it's a timing thing, the time is past, okay, and You can keep throwing yourself at this, but the time is gone. Or it's not ours and it's not happening because it's not ours. Right? It's not yours. Okay. There's something around the resonance and the purpose behind it. It lacks a head. It lacks a central thing that will help bind to your purpose and to help you fulfill what you need to do. All right, so with 3 changing lines like this, what we can do, the way we work with them, is they could relate to one particular grouping in your life or in your business that's going through a rapid change process in the week. My feeling and experience is usually when we get these kind of multiple changing lines that seem to talk in different directions on the topic, what we're talking about are different issues. So you might have 3 different groupings, all right, or 2 different groupings that speak in different ways, but 3 different groupings, different facets of groupings and union that are brought to your attention, that are being brought to us this week for us to look at and reflect on. Okay. They aren't necessarily groupings that have happened right in this week. They can be groupings that have been ongoing, and what these changing lines do is they bring our awareness to issues and areas we need to work on. Okay, so stay open. Stay open to where you are needing the growth, where you're needing the insight, because this insight helps and should help you to accelerate your growth and get somewhere in the week. So where do these 3 changing lines lead us to? What is our second relating hexagram, the path we are moving towards as part of this week's transformation energy? It's a nice one. It's hexagram 35, progress. The sun rising up over the earth. Because we have only the outer trigram changing fundamentally, it changes into its opposite, right? And that's fire rising up above the earth. The sun rising gently towards midday. This hexagram speaks to the idea of making progress. It's not explosive, ridiculous progress because the sun moves in a rhythm, okay? It doesn't go, okay? It goes like that. So it's gentle progress, all right? The ability this week to get somewhere, to recognize we've moved forward. The sun is shining. There's a lovely energy around this to allow us to see how we've made wonderful progress and some energy to help us move forward and to move up and ascend into the sky. So a lovely energy for us to work with of gradual advancement, of making progress, the blessing that comes if we can just deal with some of these grouping issues and come to some deep understanding around who we are grouped with and why and where they are working, where they are not, where we are leading, when we should, what can we do, how can we get these groups into shape and make sure they work for us and that we work for them where we've made a commitment. And if they're not working, we have to work through what do we do now? Because all of this is helping us with that lovely hexagram 35 advancement progress this week. What we're trying to do is get somewhere. And so the groupings are part of leveraging up and accelerating what we can do because we are collaborating with others. We are bringing other skills. We are getting other resources. We are connecting with things that we don't have to help us make that progress. The victory is the progress we are working towards this week. Thank you so much. If this was valuable to you, please thumbs up, a like would be great. And of course, if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button or the follow button on the podcast. And I look forward to seeing you very soon for our monthly overview for October. What will October hold for us? What is our focus for the month and for the weeks to come? Well, we shall find out here together. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.